Yo, everybody.
We are here to blunder
And bungle into something a little bit different this time.
Today we are going to read a creepypasta, but there's a little spin to it. A creepypasta written by our one and only Bungle. So you guys gotta let us know what you think of this.
This is our first time reading a story that's never been read anywhere. else.
Anywhere.
We're going to dive into our story, The Masquerade.
Ooh.
I was living with my mom in an apartment in the city. My bedroom window on the second floor looked out to a busy narrow road and a building with bunched up businesses across the street. The entire time we'd lived at this apartment, there was one spot in the middle of the businesses that had always been vacant. It took me by surprise the day a new shop opened up.
In the window, fancy text spelled the store name, Masquerade. And underneath it was a simple porcelain mask. Nothing was painted on it. It was just a plain, white, featureless face that hung in the window. It honestly gave me the creeps. I'd open up my window and shiver because it always felt like it was watching me. The rest of the window was dark, tinted almost black. No way to see inside the dark shop.
I was curious, so I worked up my courage and tried to visit the new shop and see what exactly went on there. I pulled on the door, but it was locked. There was no open or close sign, no list of hours, just the name of the shop, Masquerade, and that mask. It was just a plain empty mask with holes for eyes and a slit for a mouth. I kept watching the store from my room, but I never saw anyone visit the shop, at least not during the day.
That was the first night I couldn't sleep. It was 3 a.m. when I opened the window and first saw how bright the full moon was in the sky. That's when I saw below a cloaked figure with the hood covering their head open the door and walked into the masquerade. I squinted my eyes, but as far as I could tell, no lights were ever turned on inside, and the person who entered never came out.
I told my mother the next day about what I saw. She shook her head at me. It's not nice to spy, you know. It's just a normal business. There's no need to freak yourself out over it.
I wanted to believe her, but there was something about this place that just felt far from normal.
For some reason, I woke up again the next night, 3 a.m. I looked out the window and cringed at the sight of the mask still in the moonlight. Again, a cloaked figure entered the shop, turned on no lights, and never came out.
3 a.m. the next day, the same thing happened. There was no alarm, no noise, no extra bright lights. So I'm not sure why I kept waking up exactly at 3 a.m. But each time I got out of bed, looked out the window, and the mask would still feel like it was looking back at me. And every time, a cloaked figure would open the door and enter the shop. Somehow, I could tell that it wasn't the same person as before. The size, height, shape, I mean, it was dark and all, but I swear it was a different person every night.
This went on and on. 3 a.m., always 3 a.m. It had been almost 2 weeks since I had a full night's sleep. I was tired, barely able to get up in the morning. My energy was low, and my grades were dropping.
My mom asked me while we were having dinner, "What is going on?"
I explained to her, I just keep waking up every morning at 3, and every morning someone goes into that shop and doesn't come out.
Why are you so fixated on that dumb shop? My mom was obviously frustrated with me. There is nothing going on there, trust me. If you wake up in the morning, don't look out your window. Just go back to sleep. Understood?
I nodded as we finished our meal. That night, 3 a.m., I gulped nervously, knowing it was 3 without even looking at the clock. I was wide awake. I wanted to look out the window. My mother said not to and just go back to sleep. I tossed, turned, rolled, and grunted in frustration. There was no way I could go back to sleep.
I should have kept trying, but I had to look. I got up and went to the window. I pulled back the curtain just a little to peek outside. It was dark, very dark, the new moon. It was so dark that it was hard to see the shop. But even though it was so dark, there was one thing I could tell right away. The mask wasn't there.
I rubbed my eyes to try and see clearer in the dark. It definitely wasn't in the window where it was supposed to be. But even though I couldn't see it, I still had that feeling that all the hairs on the back of my neck were standing because it was still watching me.
I stared harder into the window to try and find any sign of it. I was surprised when a light turned on in the store. This was the first time I'd ever seen a light in that window. Revealed in the darkness, over a dozen cloaked figures stood in the small shop, and all at once they turned toward me. None of them had faces under their cloaks. All of them were empty hoods, but in their hands they each held a mask that they pointed toward me.
I fell back from the window. I pushed myself away on the floor. My heart was racing. I turned to run. The mask from the window was there, in my room. And I heard, "I look forward to wearing you." And that, everybody, was the Masquerade.
An original creepypasta by our one and only Bungle of Blunder'N'Bungle.
And if you like this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, ring a notification bell, and give us a few comments down below, especially if you have any stories you would like us to read or react to.
And remember, everybody, I'm Blunder.
And I'm Bungle. Thank you so much for joining us today.
And maybe we will see you in the next creepypasta video. Bye-bye. 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 Bye.